Welcome back to another edition of Our City. As we celebrate St. Patrick's Day this week, I hope all of the Irish are enjoying the festivities, as well as the kickoff on Thursday of March Madness, where the NCAA tournament will start, and look forward to a lot of good basketball over the next month as well. On Tuesday, March 15th of this week, I'm going to have the pleasure of Reading Across America event at the New Hope Memorial Daycare Center on 889 East Jersey. Read Across America is an initiative on reading created by the National Education Association. And reading broadens the horizons, expands opportunities, and enables our children to experience new worlds. It's also around the birthday of Dr. Seuss, and we all know what the Dr. Seuss books have done for our young people in getting them to read and enjoy reading. On Wednesday, March 16th, I'll join another Read Across America event, this time at St. Genevieve School in Elizabeth on Princeton Road. And following that event on Wednesday at 12 o'clock, the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce will have an award luncheon. And this year's event will honor Charles Mancuso for his 50-plus years of public service and also his work in the business community, his educational leadership, and his banking skills. It will be held at the Renaissance Hotel, Newark Airport on Spring Street in Elizabeth. For more information, please call the Chamber at 355-7600. On Saturday of this week at 7 o'clock, the Portuguese Instructive Social Club will host their 89th anniversary reception. A great social club in our city. It combines Portuguese heritage and culture along with a very fun evening and celebration. This event will feature dinner, music, and a show for all to enjoy at the Portuguese Club located on 1 and 9 in Elizabeth. If you need more information concerning these events or any other events, please call our Public Information Office at 908-820-4124. And this week's show, I'm pleased to have on in the beginning of this segment, Mr. Jim Cosgrove, our police director, who in the second segment will join with Dennis Carbarley, who is in charge of some neighborhood meetings that we have throughout our city, along with a resident of our community who was instrumental in helping the police catch some burglars a while ago. Director Cosgrove, welcome on the show.
Thank you, Mayor.
You know, one of the things we often talk about is how do we deal with the discussion about gangs in our community or throughout our city. And there's a report that has to be filed that Trenton says and makes it public. And it's been our position that that just emboldens the gangs and they get to read about themselves in the paper. But that doesn't mean we don't do anything. We follow up on intel networks. We also forward it. And also I'm told that if you check into jail, you have to register as a member of a gang. And they actually ask you when you check in, which gang do you belong to?
That's absolutely correct, Mayor. And some of the crime intel that we have is, first of all, the state of New Jersey has a ceasefire program. It's 15 municipalities that belong to the ceasefire program. As part of the ceasefire program, and we are on board with the ceasefire program, New Jersey Crime Track. And in order to be on board with this and to share information with these other 15 municipalities, we have to share violent crime information, specifically shootings or homicide information, with the state police, and they want it contemporaneously with the incident. So as these instances are unfolding, this information is being fed into the computer system. They have a maximum of 4 hours, but very rarely it ever goes 4 hours before we feed this information in there. And this information is fed in there, and it's instantly evaluated at a state level for perpetrators, suspects, victims, and all this information, witnesses, as much information we have, we feed into this, including if this member is a gang member or suspected gang member. This information is fed into this New Jersey Crime Track information.
And it's also forwarded to the prosecutor's office as well.
The prosecutor has access to this information, and in addition to this New Jersey Crime Track, we also, every arrest made in the city of Elizabeth is forwarded to the prosecutor's office for crime intelligence information. And the difference in crime intelligence information is that this is law enforcement sensitive information. In other words, by law enforcement sensitive information, I mean, is that it can only be accessed by people authorized to get into the system, either people that are law enforcement or civilian analysts who are authorized by the state police or the prosecutor's office to get into this information. This is not just a survey with guessing information or playing games. It has to be specific information. And we belong to both of these intel informations. We share this information, and we work with other agencies constantly sharing information.
And if you're arrested and you go to the Union County Jail, there's also a question asked, and whether you're a gang member or not, most people are going to say they belong to a gang just to be protected.
That's absolutely correct, Mayor. And one of the things, and one of the fallacies, or, you know, first of all, when you use the word gang, it's an attention getter, it's a scare, it creates fear in people, just the word gang itself. But when you're arrested in any municipality and you're going to be incarcerated in a county jail or state facility, one of the questions they want to ask you about is, are you a gang member? Now, our penal institutions do that because they sort of segregate people according to what they put this information down. But once they identify themselves as a Blood or a Crip or a Latin King, whatever it may be, then they segregate them within the institution according to this. It's easier for them to police their facility, but it makes it more difficult for us on the outside trying to arrest these people and put them in there. Because are they really true gang members, or are they just people saying they're a member of this gang? And the other thing is, in the state of New Jersey, it's not a crime to be a member of a gang. It is a crime to commit any violation of any penal code. We go after people for the violations of the crimes that they commit. And subsequently, when we arrest them, we incarcerate them, they get a gang label. You know, people talk about numbers of gang people. Sure, there's gangs and there's gang members, but they've all been arrested by Elizabeth Police Department.
That's how they got the label.
That's how they got the label.
And what we do also in working with the community to make sure of anything that happens is we have an extensive Elizabeth Police Department community policing effort, and we utilize this concept to be in the neighborhoods and to find and deal with any of these issues.
Absolutely, Mayor. One of the things I found out in our philosophy in Elizabeth Police Department is, you know, we all talk about the buzzword in the 90s was community policing. And community policing is great. But when you're in an urban setting, in any police department, especially more so larger police departments, you have to have the ability to answer your calls for service. And once you can answer your calls for service, then you can build on that. And after you have answer your calls for service, you need a proactive units within the police department to address the complaints that you get from these block watch and neighborhood groups. You know, if you go to a neighborhood group and people are complaining about drugs on the corner or any other complaint, if you can't adequately respond to it, what good are you? You're losing your community service ability. So what we do is, first of all, you have to address your calls for service. And once you address your calls for service, you need proactive units to go out there and address the complaints that you're getting in a lot of these community meetings.
And the Juvenile Bureau and the neighborhood police, I mean, they work well in the community as well as the Project Love program in giving kids an opportunity for a second chance so they don't get labeled in going into the penal system.
Absolutely, Mayor. All police departments have what they call station house adjustments. And what station house adjustment is where individuals, juveniles, young offenders come into the police, come to our attention. And without making an arrest, we can call these people in to our police headquarters with their parents, with social agencies, and without giving somebody a criminal record, sometimes these things can be adjudicated at that level. Now, the Project Love is an extension of this station house adjustment. And Project Love is what we do during the summer months, especially in the summer months. We step it up, and we go out and we target certain areas where we're having problems with juvenile complaints. We find that with a curfew violation. So the curfew violation is out there. The police officers will be out there. They're instructed to identify these offenders, and without invoking the criminal justice system, they bring them into the station, and again, using a social agency and the parents, we've been able to adjudicate these things.
And we've also added an anti-gang component to our DARE program this year.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
And the officers are working that area.
We have a great program, and the great program is we've trained our DARE program officers to also be aware of gangs and gang affiliation. and to bring the same information to the children when they're bringing them the DARE program, the drug information, and gang awareness and violence.
And the second part of the show, we're going to talk about block watch and neighborhood groups and how they're effective. And how do you see it from the police director's point of view? And in the second half of the show, we're going to have some residents on talking about it as well.
Let me tell you something, Mayor. When you're talking about block watch, you need the support of the community. Police departments cannot work without the community support. And I found that here in the city of Elizabeth, when I first came here, we started going to block watch groups. We started and we enhanced it. It used to be in houses. Now they've grown to where most of them are in community centers and they're larger scale. But we've developed such a relationship with our police officers, who not only the ones who go to the community service office themselves, but we often bring the police officers that are on the beat so they can hear firsthand from the residents what their specific problems are. We've gotten telephones, Nextels, other phones that these numbers are given out, and they know the officer's shift, and sometimes they directly call the officer, and things get handled immediately. And what it does is it brings confidence in the police department. The community has to have confidence in their police department, and that's important.
And anybody can go to a meeting, and they're well published on the website and everything else.
They're published on the website. We have 20-some meetings right now. We're not afraid to start new ones. If there's areas where people feel it's necessary, we actually will go into that neighborhood. We will begin a new one and take it from there. Director,
I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show, and I appreciate all your efforts in keeping the city of Elizabeth safe.
Thank you, Mayor.
For Director Jim Cosgrove, please stay with us, where we'll be joined in the second half by Detective Dennis Cabarly and Miss Phyllis Wright.